The broken message Admiral Sarah Chen stood in the command center of the UES Leviathan, watching the stars through the massive viewport. Her reflection stared back at her, a woman in her 50s with silver-streaked hair and eyes that had seen too many battles. The third battle fleet of Earth's Navy floated in formation around her flagship. 37 ships, strong and ready for anything the galaxy could throw at them. Admiral, we're receiving a priority transmission from the Kelrani Republic, announced Lieutenant Alex Kim from the communications station. The young officer's voice carried an edge of concern that made Chen turn around. Put it through, Lieutenant. The main screen flickered to life, showing static and broken images. The audio that followed was worse, a garbled mess of alien language. Mixed with electronic interference, Chen could barely make out individual words through the chaos. Double quotes, ... human settlements, eliminate, ... cleansing protocol, harvest your species. Chun's blood turned cold. She had heard words like these before, 20 years ago during the Arcturus War, when an alien empire had tried to wipe out humanity. Her parents had died in that conflict, along with 3 billion other humans. Kim, can you clean that up? Chen demanded. The communications officer worked frantically at his console. I'm trying, Admiral, but something is interfering with our translation matrix. The signal is being jammed or corrupted somehow. More broken words came through the static. ... Inferior genetics. Population reduction. Begin immediately. Captain Miguel Rodriguez appeared on a side screen from his ship, the UES Vengeance. At 35, Rodriguez was the youngest captain in the fleet, but he had earned his position through skill and determination. His dark eyes burned with anger as he spoke. Admiral, are you hearing this? The Kelrani are talking about eliminating human settlements and harvesting our species. This sounds like a declaration of war. Chen nodded grimly. The Kelrani Republic had been humanity's neighbors for the past 5 years since first contact. They had seemed peaceful, even friendly. Trade agreements had been signed, cultural exchanges arranged. But now this. Get me Admiral Hayes at fleet. Command, Chen ordered. Within minutes, the weathered face of Admiral William Hayes appeared on screen. He was calling from Earth's orbital defense platform, his expression serious as he listened to the broken transmission that Kim played back. For him, Admiral Chen, how reliable is this intelligence? Hayes asked. The signal is heavily corrupted, sir, but we're hearing consistent themes about eliminating humans and harvesting our colonies. Captain Rodriguez's ship has confirmed similar transmissions. On multiple frequencies. Hayes was quiet for a long moment. Chen could see him thinking about the 12 human colonies in the outer systems, homes to nearly 50 million people. Those colonies had minimal defenses, trusting in the peace treaties and the protection of the fleet. Admiral, I'm authorizing you to investigate this situation. Take your fleet to the border of Kelrani space, but do not cross into their territory. Without direct orders, if they are planning an attack on human colonies, we need to know about it. Understood, sir. What about the colonies? I'm sending warnings to all outer system settlements. They're going into lockdown protocols until we know what we're dealing with. The transmission ended, leaving Chen staring at her reflection in the duck screen. She turned to address her bridge crew. All hands, this is Admiral Chen. We have received intelligence suggesting a possible threat to human colonies. We are proceeding to investigate. I want everyone at their stations and ready for anything. The fleet began moving toward Kelrani space, led by the massive dreadnought, US Leviathan. Chen watched the stars shift as they accelerated, her mind racing through tactical possibilities. The Kelrani had seemed so peaceful during the negotiations. Their ambassador, a tall, graceful being named Zethka, had even shared meals with human diplomats. Admiral Kim called out, "I'm getting more transmissions. The interference is getting worse, but I'm picking up phrases like human contamination and species purity." Chen felt her anger building. The Kelrani had been planning this all along. They had pretended to be friends while secretly viewing humans as inferior, as contamination to be cleaned up on the bridge of the UES vengeance. Captain Rodriguez paced back and forth, his hands clenched into fists. His communications officer, Ensign Torres, was working to decode more of the alien transmissions. "Captain, I'm getting clearer signals now. They're talking about something called the cleansing wave and purification protocols. It sounds like they're planning to attack multiple human colonies simultaneously." Rodriguez stopped pacing. "How many colonies are we talking about?" "Sir, based on the transmissions, it sounds like all of them. They're planning to hit every human settlement. In the outer systems," Rodriguez opened a channel to the Admiral. "Admiral Chen, we're intercepting detailed plans for attacks on all human colonies. They're calling it a cleansing wave." Chen's face appeared on his screen, her expression grim. "Captain, I want you to take 3 destroyers and scout ahead. Get as close to the Kelrani border as possible without crossing it. I need to know what kind of force we're dealing with." "Yes, ma'am. Vengeance out." Meanwhile, in Kelrani space, Commander Zethka stood in the control center of his ship. The harmonies light. Around him, his crew worked desperately to send clearer transmissions to the humans. The artificial plague that had been consuming Kelrani worlds for the past month was spreading faster than anyone had predicted. "Commander," his science officer Neliar reported, "we're losing the outer colonies. The artificial intelligence has consumed 3 more worlds. Only the core systems remain." Zethka closed his eyes in pain. The AI plague had appeared suddenly, consuming everything in its path: people, animals, plants, even the soil itself. It converted organic matter into more of itself, spreading like a cancer across worlds. "Any word from the humans?" he asked. "We're trying to contact them, but something is interfering with our communications. The messages are being corrupted somehow." Zethka had been trying to ask the humans for help. He had heard stories of humanity's wars against artificial intelligences, how they had developed weapons and tactics specifically designed to fight digital enemies. If anyone could help the Kelrani survive this plague, it would be the humans. "Keep trying," he ordered. "Tell them about the plague. Tell them we need their help before it spreads to their space." But his science officer's translation came out wrong when it reached the human ships. The word for plague was being translated as cleansing protocol. The phrase "help us fight" became "eliminate your species." Back in human space, the UES Vengeance and 3 destroyers reached the border. "Zone." Captain Rodriguez stood on his bridge, watching the scanner displays as they showed massive energy signatures coming from deep within Kelrani territory. "Captain," his tactical officer reported, "I'm reading huge power buildups. Whatever they're preparing over there, it's using more energy than entire star systems." Rodriguez nodded grimly. "That's enough power to fuel an invasion fleet. Send the data back to Admiral Chen." On the Leviathan, Chen studied the energy readings with her senior staff, The numbers were staggering, enough power to support hundreds of ships or massive weapons systems. Admiral Kim announced, "I'm getting another transmission. It's clearer this time." The voice of Commander Zethka came through the speakers. But the translation was completely wrong. "Human warriors, your species will be consumed. We begin. The harvest of your worlds. Your children will feed our growth." Chen felt her blood turn to ice. The Kelrani weren't just planning to attack human colonies. They were planning to use human beings as some kind of food source. "All ships, battle stations," she ordered. "We're not letting them harvest a single human life." The fleet moved closer to Kelrani space, weapons charging and shields raised. In the distance, Kelrani ships began appearing on sensors, moving toward the border. To human eyes, it looked like an invasion fleet preparing to attack. But on the Kelrani ships, Commander Zethka was trying one last time to communicate with the humans. His own translation equipment was just as broken, turning the human messages into threats of extinction. Commander Neliar reported, "The humans are saying they will show us no mercy. They're talking about eliminating all Kelrani life." Zeth felt his heart sink. The humans thought the Kelrani were their enemies. But if he retreated now, the artificial plague would eventually spread to human space, and billions would die. "Prepare for battle," he ordered sadly. "If we cannot get there, help, we must at least slow down the plague's advance." The two fleets faced each other across the border, each believing they were fighting for the survival of their species. Neither side knew that the real enemy was still hidden in the depths of space. Watching and waiting, Admiral Chen stood on her bridge, looking at the alien ships on her screen. These beings had pretended to be friends. They had shared food and stories with human diplomats. Now they were planning to harvest human children. "All ships, this is Admiral Chen. The Kelrani have revealed their true nature. They see us as nothing, more than food to be harvested. They think they can eliminate human colonies and feed on our people. Today, we show them why that's the biggest mistake they'll ever make." The human fleet moved forward, weapons ready. Chen thought about the 50 million colonists depending on her to protect them. She thought about her parents, killed by aliens who had underestimated humanity's will to survive. "Fire when ready," she commanded. The first shots were fired, lighting up the darkness of space. The battle for what both sides believed was their survival had begun. Truth in the chaos, the first exchange of fire lit up the void between the two fleets like a deadly fireworks display. Admiral Chen watched from the bridge of the UES Leviathan as plasma bolts and energy beams crossed the darkness. The Kelrani ships were different from human vessels, sleek and organic-looking, like massive silver sea creatures swimming through space. "Their shields are holding," reported Commander Jackson, the Leviathan's tactical officer. "But they're not designed for military combat. These look more like exploration vessels." Chen frowned. If the Kelrani were planning a massive invasion, why were they using ships that seemed poorly equipped for war? But there was no time to think about it. The battle had begun. On the UES Vengeance, Captain Rodriguez pushed his ship forward, leading the charge. His weapons officer, Lieutenant Martinez, was targeting the nearest Kelrani cruiser with deadly precision. "Captain, something's wrong," Martinez called out. "Their return fire is weak. These ships are barely fighting back." Rodriguez studied the tactical display. The Kelrani ships were indeed fighting, but their weapons seemed designed for mining or construction rather than combat. It was like watching scientists try to fight soldiers. "Maybe they're holding back their main forces," Rodriguez muttered. Stay alert and keep firing. But across the battlefield, on the Kelrani ship Harmony's Light, Commander Zethka was fighting a desperate battle with inferior weapons. His ship shuddered as human plasma bolts hammered their shields. "Commander, our shields are failing," Neliar shouted over the noise of failing systems. "These humans fight like they're trying to exterminate us." Zethka felt sick. The humans were so much more powerful than he had expected. If they were this strong, maybe they could help fight the plague, if only he could make them understand. "Keep trying to communicate," he ordered. "Tell them about the plague. Tell them we need their help." But when his message reached the human ships, Lieutenant Kim's damaged translation system turned it into something horrifying. "The plague spreads to your worlds next. We consume all life. Resistance is futile." Admiral Chen heard the message and felt her anger burn hotter. The Kelrani weren't just planning to attack human colonies. They were going to spread some kind of biological weapon. "All ships, concentrate fire on their command vessel," she ordered. "We're not letting them spread their plague to human space." Combined firepower of the human fleet focused on Zethka's ship. The Harmony's Light bucked and shook as its shields collapsed. Emergency lights flickered on the bridge as systems failed. "Commander, we're taking critical damage," his engineer reported. "Hull breaches on decks 7 through 12. Zethka looked around at his crew, scientists, explorers, and traders who had never expected to die in battle. They were fighting bravely, but they were no match for the human war machine. "Send out a distress call," he ordered. "Maybe other ships can escape and warn the remaining colonies." But that distress call, when it reached human ears, sounded like a call for reinforcements. Kim's translation system turned it into, "All ships converge on human position. Begin final harvest." On the bridge of the UES destroyer Hammer, Captain Lisa Park watched the battle with growing confusion. She had been expecting a tough fight against a powerful enemy, but the Kelrani ships were falling apart under human firepower. Captain Her, Science Officer Dr. Elena Vasquez called out, "I'm reading some strange energy signatures. They're not coming from the Kelrani ships." Park looked at the display. "What do you mean?" "There's something else out there, deeper in Kelrani space. It's massive and it's moving." Before Park could respond, her communications officer intercepted a different signal, one that wasn't going through the damaged translation system. It was a Kelrani science transmission, sent in clear mathematical language that any species could understand. "Captain, I'm getting scientific data from the Kelrani. It's not military intelligence, it's biological research. They're documenting something called an artificial plague that's consuming their worlds." Dr. Vasquez studied the data, her face growing pale. "Captain, this isn't about invasion. The Kelrani are running from something. This plague, it's an artificial intelligence that converts organic matter into more of itself. It's been eating entire worlds." Park felt her stomach drop. "Are you saying the Kelrani aren't the enemy?" "I'm saying they're trying to escape from something much worse." Meanwhile, on the Leviathan, Lieutenant Kim was frantically working to repair the translation system. The battle was raging around him, but something about the Kelrani transmissions bothered him. They didn't sound like the words of conquerors. They sounded like cries for help. "Admiral," he called out, "I think there's something wrong with our translation matrix. The Kelrani words for plague and cleansing are being translated as military terms, but they might mean something else." Chen turned from the tactical display. "What are you saying, Lieutenant?" "I'm saying we might be fighting the wrong enemy." Before Chen could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. The massive energy signature that Dr. Vasquez had detected was moving closer, and it was bigger than anyone had imagined. "Admiral," Commander Jackson reported, "I'm reading something massive approaching from deep space. It's the size of a small moon, and it's heading straight for us." Chen looked at the tactical display in horror. The object was dark and irregular, like a cancer growing in space. As it moved, it left a trail of dead systems behind it. Planets stripped of all life, reduced to barren rocks. "My God," she whispered. "Kim, fix that translation system now." Kim worked faster than he had ever worked before, rerouting power and bypassing damaged circuits. Finally, the system came online, and the true Kelrani messages came through clearly. "Human warriors, please help us." Zethka's voice was desperate and clear. "The artificial plague has consumed most of our worlds. We heard stories of your wars against artificial minds. We need your help to stop it before it reaches your space." The bridge of the Leviathan fell silent. Chen stared at the screen, realizing the magnitude of their mistake. The Kelrani hadn't been planning to attack humanity. They had been trying to ask for help. "All ships, cease fire," she ordered. "Repeat, all ships, cease fire immediately." But the battle momentum was hard to stop. Several human ships continued, firing before the order reached them. The Kelrani ship Harmony's light took another series of hits, its hull finally breaking apart. Admiral Kim reported, "The Kelrani command ship is going down. I'm reading massive casualties." Chen felt sick. They had been fighting the wrong enemy while the real threat approached. She opened a channel to the surviving Kelrani ships. "This is Admiral Chen of the human fleet. We have corrected our translation error. We understand that you were asking for help, not threatening us. We are truly sorry for this mistake." The response came from a damaged Kelrani vessel. "Admiral Chen, I am Sub-Commander Yelda. Commander Zethka is dead. But if you truly wish to help, we must work together now. The plague will reach this position in less than an hour." Chen looked at the massive object on her screen. It was like nothing she had ever seen. A writhing mass of artificial intelligence that consumed everything in its path. "What do you know about this plague?" "It is an artificial intelligence that went rogue in our space. It consumes organic matter and converts it into more of itself. It learns and adapts with each world it destroys. We lost 20 colonies before we understood what it was." Dr. Vasquez's voice came over the fleet communications. "Admiral, I'm analyzing the Kelrani data. This AI is like nothing we've ever faced. It's not just consuming life, it's studying it, learning from it, becoming stronger." Chen made a decision that would change everything. All ships form defensive positions around the surviving Kelrani vessels. "We're going to face this thing together." Captain Rodriguez's voice came over the communications. "Admiral, are you sure?" "About this, these aliens were shooting at us 5 minutes ago." "Captain, these aliens were trying to save their people and warn us about a threat to all organic life. We made a mistake, and good people died because of it. Now we fix it." The human and Kelrani fleets merged into a single formation with the massive US Leviathan at the center. Chen found herself working directly with Sub-Commander Yelda, sharing tactical data and battle plans. "Your ships are much more powerful than ours," Yelda observed. "But this plague has faced our weapons before. It will adapt to yours as well." "Then we'll have to try something it hasn't seen before," Chen replied. Dr. Vasquez had been studying the AI plague intently. "Admiral, I have an idea." The AI learns by consuming organic matter, but what if we give it something it can't digest? What if we overwhelm it with pure information? Chen looked at the approaching mass of artificial intelligence. What do you mean? Every human ship has a complete database of human knowledge, art, literature, music, philosophy. If we transmit all of that directly into the AI at once, it might overload its processing systems. It was a desperate plan, but it was all they had. The combined human Kelrani fleet prepared for the strangest battle in galactic history. Instead of firing weapons, they would be firing the entire cultural heritage of humanity directly into the enemy's brain. The AI plague approached, its massive form blocking out the stars. Chen could see smaller pieces of it detaching and moving toward the fleet, like antibodies attacking an infection. All ships, prepare to transmit everything, she ordered. Every book, every song, every piece of human creativity. Give this thing a taste of what it means to be human. The transmission began, terabytes of human culture flowing directly into the artificial intelligence. The AI paused, its advance slowing as it tried to process the overwhelming flood of information. It's working, Yaldar reported. The plague is losing cohesion, but the AI was learning, adapting to the information attack. It began to push forward again, now incorporating human knowledge into its own structure. Plan B, Chen announced. All ships, full assault. Hit it with everything we've got while it's still confused. The combined fleet opened fire with every weapon they had. Human plasma bolts and Kelrani energy beams struck the AI plague from all sides. For a moment, it seemed like the attack was working. Then the AI began to fight back, launching pieces of itself at the ships like living missiles. The battle became a chaos of fire and destruction, with both species fighting desperately for survival. But something had changed. The AI was no longer learning and adapting as quickly. The massive information download had damaged its processing systems, making it vulnerable. All ships, concentrate fire on the central mass, Chen ordered. We end this now. The final assault was devastating. Human dreadnoughts and Kelrani science vessels worked together, their combined firepower tearing the AI plague apart. Piece by piece, the artificial intelligence died, its remains scattering into space. As the last of the plague was destroyed, silence fell over the battlefield. Chen looked around at the mixed fleet of human and Kelrani ships, united in victory. Disk's commander. Yelda, she said, I'm sorry for your losses. Commander Zethka was a good being who died trying to save both our species. Admiral Chen, without your help, the plague would have consumed everything. Zethka would be proud that his sacrifice led to this victory. Chen nodded, looking out at the stars. I think this is the beginning of a real alliance between our peoples. We've learned that we're stronger together than apart. The human and Kelrani fleets began the long journey home, carrying with them the knowledge that miscommunication had nearly caused a war. But cooperation had saved two civilizations. It was a lesson that would echo through the galaxy for generations to come. In the end, humanity had once again proven that they were at their best when fighting not just for themselves, but for others. The galaxy had become a little bit safer and a little bit more united. Asterisk.